Hey, I'm Rich Ward from Fozzy, sitting here in the elegant tour bus that they say we're lucky to have, but we're not really lucky. We paid a lot of money for it.
So it's Uproar 2012?
It is Uproar 2012. It's the first day on the tour that we're getting a little bit of rain, but we're not letting it dampen our spirits at all. The only thing it's dampening is, of course, the fun that we'll have.
Slipping and sliding in the mud.
I know. If there are any accidents on stage where someone hits a slide puddle and there's a broken leg or compound fracture or anything like that, we won't take it personal. We'll just know it was our turn to have a severe injury on tour, and you just roll with it, right? It happens. Steven Tyler falls off stage, and he's one of the greatest. It's coming. Eventually, it happens to everybody.
I don't think I have to ask any questions. I can just let him talk. I like that because you've been there, done that before. Okay, so new album came out. You produced this one as well as the last album.
Yep.
How do you separate yourself from being a band member versus being a producer? Because it seems like that would be a lot of pressure on both positions.
Yeah, it's being the producer and writing the songs and being the guitar player. It can be a conflict of interest for sure. And the way I get around it is that I hire a mixer at the end of the project to come in and say, hey, how come all I hear is guitars? And that would be because I produced it and played the guitars. So, which is great because he becomes like the sixth member of the band at the end that really helps to give a fresh perspective to the overall sonic balance of the mix. And it, you know, we've over the years we've started to get a formula that works for us. Chris and I are the primary songwriters. He writes all the lyrics, and then I write the melodies that he sings those lyrics to and the music around it. And then we take, once those initial ideas are constructed, we take it to the band, and then everybody kind of says, well, what if I did this? And then all of a sudden it doesn't sound like Chris and Rich, it sounds like Fozzy. And I always describe it as Chris and Rich are the framers of the house, and then the interior and exterior decorators come in and make it feel like a home. And it's a cool process, and we all trust each other a tremendous amount, so there's very little bickering or kind of territorial, no, I want it this way or this way, because we really are best friends. And myself and the drummer have been together in a band since the late 80s, and Billy Gray, our guitar player, he and I have been playing together in bands for, I don't know, almost 20 years. And we grew up in the same town of Charlotte, North Carolina, and just ended up in Atlanta, both of us, which is where Fozzy is based out of Atlanta. And then Paulie D, our bass player, he and I played in a side project together called Adrenaline Mob with Mike Portnoy and some other guys, and we hit it off and became best friends. And it's very rare that you ever have an opportunity to play with musicians that you think are amazing and that you'd love playing in a band with, and yet you also enjoy being on the bus with after the show. Usually there's going to be some conflict, and that's where the compromise comes in, of like, okay, how do I tolerate this person's dysfunctional this, or how do I tolerate this person plays too loud on stage? And there's usually something. The five of us just get along amazing, and without being cliched, we feel like brothers, and what makes it amazingly easy to tour with. We've now been out for 3 weeks. No one's raised a voice to anybody. Our road crew are amazing guys who are just as much of the family, because when you're out on tour, they're just as important as the band is, because you're not gigging without them. So at some point, it's not 5 guys, it's 9 guys, and you work together, you know, in harmony, and it takes each part of the, and then you've got local crew guys. People don't realize how many people it takes to put on something like this, especially in the Uproar Tour, where there's the tent village where you've got all the vendors, and then you've got all the sound guys and lighting guys and truck drivers and bus drivers, and it's a big to-do. And a lot of times band guys can be so full of themselves they forget that without all the big organism that is the Uproar apparatus, all the worker bees and stuff, us wannabe rock stars wouldn't have any place to play. And so, and the older you get, you see that, because it's the same crew guys. You see these guys, oh, you were out with so-and-so last year, and now you're with so-and-so, and it's the same group of guys, and we're all out here because we love music, we have a passion for it, and we just learn how to walk around with a smile on our face, because the alternative is to be miserable about something that you're just so damn lucky to be a part of.
Can't tell if he talks. It's like what? So Fozzy started as a cover band, then switched a little ways. And when do you feel that people actually got it and turned things around towards the band? Because a lot of times when somebody in your band does something else, like Chris, 30 Seconds to Mars has, you know, Jared Leto, actor, and it takes a little while for people, like you have those diehard fans.
Of course.
And it takes a while for them to take you seriously.
Yeah.
When do you think that actually happened?
I'm not even sure that everybody will ever take it 100% seriously, because there's always a stigma involved with it. And there's also the thing, Chris is a handsome guy, and there's always going to be that thing of like, you know, like the Tom Cruise, or anytime someone's handsome and he's talented, you know, people don't want to like it. It's just this, it's human nature to want to tear somebody down that's just good, you know, who's successful. And it didn't come easy to Chris. You know, he wrestled in VFW halls and sweaty places in Mexico and Japan and little tiny places for 10 years before things really started to catch on for him, and he earned what he got, you know. And the whole idea of wealth envy or success envy to me is just, it's icky, because there's room in the world for everyone to be successful, and it's just a matter of choices. You can either work hard to be successful like Chris Jericho, or you can stand around and point your finger at him and say names about him because you're envious. And you know, I'm caught somewhere in between, because I've had previous bands before I met Chris, and I had some moderate success in the music business. But moderate success still means you're fairly broke. The music business is like a lot of in the entertainment business. There's a real large gap between this success and real success. It's that lower middle class where you're still packing theaters and you're doing well and you're selling records, but there is a bit of a plateau that it really takes before you've had some big financial success. And the good news for all of us in this band is that we started off, all of us, pretty poor. None of our families had a lot of money, so we never really knew what it was like to be wealthy. We all knew what it was like to be happy, and we just found happiness in playing music. And if it ever comes for us, if we ever can overcome 100% of the folks who say, well, how can it be a real thing if you're you know, singer is a wrestler? But the thing about it is, our first band, that Frank and I, our drummer, who was the foundation of the original band, we came from a rap rock band, and so that's just as much of a monkey around our neck as that he's a wrestler, because rap rock is like, you know, the AIDS virus for, you know, to true heavy metal fans. They're like, oh, Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park, they don't like that stuff. And
yeah,
so
but you guys were the forefront of that.
Yeah.
And look where those big, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't. But people don't care. To them, you know, to them, it's still it's a bad stain in the history of rock, which is a shame, because there was a lot of really good bands that did that stuff. POD's on this tour. They're one of them.
They started out with them, yeah.
Yeah, really good
I'm glad
bands.
to see them still going. We just saw Linkin Park recently, and you look how big they are. That started
Yeah,
out back then.
I know, they're huge. When they kind of left they became more of a pop band. And that's what they like. When people say, oh, they sold out. No, they just do what they like. The true bands that, you know, sell out, it becomes real obvious. To me, Linkin Park never sold out. It's like Papa Roach was a rap rock band, and then they became a punk rock band. But I think that was always part of who they were in the true spirit of who they were as guys. So I never looked at it as oh, Papa Roach. When rap rock started to plateau and come down the mountain, they changed. So, you know, I'm 43. When I started playing in bands, I was 15, and when I got my first record deal, I was 22, and I was a way different person then than I am now. And so when people say, "Oh man, what happened to you?" I had 20 years of life experiences. You know, I've been married, and you know, I'm just a different guy. Back then, I remember in those early Stuck Mojo records, I was so angry, and those records are so aggressive. I didn't even know why I was mad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my goal was always to be in a cool band with cool guys and to play. I mean, the goal was never to be famous or to get a record deal, because that seemed like out of the question. You don't get a record deal. That's for like the 1%, the 1%ers. That's the new catchphrase that everyone likes to talk about, but that's not true at all. There are a lot of ways for bands to become successful, and you don't have to sign to Warner Brothers to do it. There are a lot of great independent record companies, and that's what we did. And we slugged it out in the clubs and climbed up the ladder until we were on the Billboard charts and on MTV and doing great things. And I think for us, I was mad, and I didn't know why I was mad, because I was doing exactly what I always dreamt of doing. And that's the cool part about growing up, is that you just become different people.
All good.
You want to pause?